We are the heartbeat of Seattle.
Hello and good evening, and thank you for stopping by. Tonight, I want to speak to you about something that should, in theory, work, but in actuality doesn't seem to be working at all. And it is Initiative 940 from the state of Washington. Independent investigations are required under Initiative 940, which voters approved in 2018. Previously, some larger agencies like the Seattle Police Department performed their own criminal investigations when an officer used deadly force. Under Initiative 940, the police department are not supposed to investigate their own crimes, especially when it involves an officer in their department. They are supposed to get an outsider, not the sheriff's department, not the police department. Anybody that's connected to the police department is not supposed to investigate because they will show bias toward their officer. Now, what is initiative measure number 940? It concerns law enforcement. This measure would require law enforcement to receive violence de-escalation, mental health, and first aid training, provide first aid, and change standards for use of deadly force, adding a good faith standard and independent investigation. Meaning that if a bad cop is on your department, a bad cop, I'm not saying a cop that used excessive force necessarily. Sometimes, in order to uphold the law, you have to be a little stronger than the person you are dealing with. That's a given. But you should not allow your anger and your personal feelings to get in the way of what you're doing, which means that you can't bully the person you're with or the person you're dealing with. You cannot bully them. You cannot use excessive force just because you can. Now, what do we mean by excessive force? I will explain. There was a guy that was being chased after by the police. They caught him in a park. He was a little overweight, and so was a police officer. The man took off running, and instead of the police officer chasing after him, the police officer just pulled out his gun and shot the guy in the back to get him to stop, because the police officer was too lazy to go after him. Then, once the man was on the ground, the police officer tried to plant a gun. The police officer's partner, who came running on to the scene, saw what he had done and told the cop, "Hey, what are you doing?" Well, the guy fired first. Well, the guy had his back to you. How could he have fired? Well, the cop that shot the guy in the back was using excessive force. The same as, "Oh, well, really? You're going to do what? Oh, you ain't so bad now, are you?" Cops act like that all the time, especially when they've got people that threaten them verbally or curse them out verbally. I mean, it's not easy. I get it. I do. I totally understand that the police sometimes have it bad. They have to put up with a lot of stuff. They have to put up with being cursed at and spit on. But you are a police officer. And with that comes a certain amount of decorum. I don't know if that's the correct word. What I mean is that, did you ever see a movie called Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze? Patrick Swayze said to the bouncers, "If somebody does something to you that's bad, take them outside but be nice. If somebody does something bad to you, you be nice until it is time not to be nice. And you'll know when it's genuinely time not to be nice. Now, I'm going to see if I can piece together what Initiative 940 is, and to make some sense of this. Washington Initiative 940, the police training and criminal liability in case of deadly force measure, was on the ballot in Washington as an initiative to the legislature, a type of indirect initiated state statute. On November 6, 2018, it was approved. A yes vote supported the initiative to create a good faith test to determine when the use of deadly force by police is justifiable. And there's going to be times when it will be justifiable. And in that case, it is not excessive force. It is necessary force because you are trying to protect the place that you are working in. You have to determine whether or not a particular person that you are dealing with has to be taken down in order to protect the community. Now, I know that sounds bad, and a lot of people don't like that, but that's true. You cannot go without having some sort of law enforcement to protect the law and to keep law-abiding citizens safe, because there is some non-law-abiding citizens out there. House Bill 1064 to amend Initiative 940 as passed by voters. House Bill 1064 was introduced on December 17th of 2018. It passed unanimously in the House on January 24th and unanimously in the Senate on January 30th, 2019, with one Senator, Linda Wilson, Representative 17, or Republican 17, excused. It was signed into law by Governor Jay Inslee on February 4th, 2019. The bill was designed to amend Initiative 940 as passed by voters in 2018. Specifically, the bill amends provisions relating to I-940's good faith standard for the use of deadly force. Under I-940, officers would have been required to show that they believed that they were acting in good faith when they used deadly force. But the new language under HB 1064 uses a different test. Whether another officer acting reasonably in the same circumstance would have believed deadly force was necessary. Now, the bill was also designed to require the state to reimburse law enforcement officers for defense costs if charges against the officers are dismissed or if they are found not guilty of charges surrounding unjustified use of deadly force. The bill also modified provisions of I-940 regarding independent investigations of deadly force incidences, training requirements, and more. HB 1064 was the result of a compromise between supporters and opponents of I-940. Of course, the opponents are going to be probably the police department, because you know how hard it is to prove that when you use deadly force that it was necessary to use deadly force? That is very difficult. It is very difficult. So, legislative legislative alteration context. From 2010 to 2018, 97 initiated state statutes and 10 initiated ordinances and 2 initiated ordinances in D.C. were approved by voters. Of these 99 total initiatives from 2010 through 2018, 28 were repealed or amended as of April 2019. The state with the most total cases of legislative alterations of initiatives approved since 2010 were Maine, with 4 initiatives altered out of 8 approved. So, what was I-940 designed to do? I-940 was designed to create a good faith test to determine whether the use of deadly force by police is justifiable, require police to receive de-escalation and mental health training, and provide that police have a duty to render first aid. It removed the requirement that prosecutors show that a law enforcement officer acted with malice to be convicted. It removed the requirement that prosecutors show that a law enforcement officer acted with malice to be, which means now you can't prove that the person acted in malice. That was part 1 of a part 2, a 1 and 2 video. Section 2 will come on right after. This has been about Initiative 940 and its effect on the police department in Seattle and other areas of the state of Washington. Thank you.